What's up everybody, this is Limitz bringing you guys another high-level Halo Wars 2v2 video. This game is going to be against Sea Mitch and Tensa, and I'm playing with LIMITZOFFSTATE. And this is going to be Forge Brute against Anders Brute on the docks. And this game's about 3 or 4 months old. I'm not quite sure why I didn't post this game right after I played it. I think I made quite a few mistakes early game, and I was really indecisive. There's a lot of lack of communication early game, poor execution, so I think that's probably why I did not post this video, is because how bad it looks early on. But this is actually probably one of the most intense games I've had on the docks, and it's really hard to, I don't even know what was going through my thought process after rewatching this video. I'm just all over the place, and so there's a lot of crucial moments in this game where the tide's just switching with momentum, and so I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. So I don't really know what else to say. I mean, early game here, what basically happens is I was indecisive with my chopper, and partially because LIMITZOFFSTATE was telling me to ram some of his warthogs, and I was like, well, I can't find his warthogs, I need to collect some crates, little things like that. Then it's hit the chopper, well, I'm looking for his warthogs, well, let's get the chopper, oh, I see a warthog type thing, you know, and then it's just moving around, I need to scout, stuff like that. So early game was really poor for me here. And there's his hogs. You can see he is going reactor third. What's really scary in this situation is Forge Brute is a very powerful combo early game with the rush, because you have early warthogs with the Forge, a strong Brute rush, and you have the carpet bomb. And the power behind the Forge Brute is that you have to play defense on this combo. And while you're playing defense, that Forge is always going to get his secondary up, his expansion. And if you don't hit that Forge expansion or retaliate and drop the Brute summits, this game gets ugly really quick. And so I told Livin I was going to play defense, and halfway through I was thinking, oh my god, how am I going to play defense on this with a Brute? So I was following Tensa around. I was planning on throwing my Brutes into the garrison up top if he was going to try and Brute rush the Anders expansion. Instead, you can see Tensa is going to take a detour and just go straight to my base here. And everything in this game is super chaotic. I usually don't have to micro this much in a 2v2, but so far, so good. It looks like he's just Brute rushing, and then the hogs come in as I unlock, and so my defense right here is just getting destroyed. I don't really have much of a defense, but luckily LIMITZOFFSTATE is hightailing it right behind Sea Mitch's hogs, and he's going to be able to get those hogs off of me, so I can just, you know, play defense on Tensa with my Brutes. So one thing that is also important to notice in this combo matchup is that a Forge's economy is going to be solid even though he's on one base. And as you can see right over there, he does have his secondary. He did throw that up while we're playing defense. I'm going to look at Tensa's base. I see he has Citadel. That's not good. I'm still on a keep trying to play defense. But the Anders having an expansion early on gives her a later gunner, but Livin did a build this game where he got earlier gunner than the Forge, but it didn't really pay off because he got his hogs rammed, and so he lost the hog lead really early in the game, and he had to regain the lead because he was on 2 bases. However, normally it probably would have been better if he went a later gunner this game. As you can see right there, the hog numbers are actually pretty even. Both are on 2 bases, except the Forge has heavies and the Anders does not. So actually, our Anders advantage right now is pretty much non-existent at this point. The only thing that we do have an advantage on is that we can tech quicker, but as far as the economy and hog numbers and base, it's evened. And the bad thing is that Tensa is on an early Citadel because I was indecisive. I didn't know what I was going to do early game. So I'm behind in the Covenant battle, and right there, LIMITZOFFSTATE loses his hog lead, or his numbers. They were pretty even, loses them to Sea Mitch, and it's just really not looking good for us at this point. One thing to notice though is that LIMITZOFFSTATE did have Grenadier, and I think his numbers are so low because of that, because Sea Mitch is stuck on a whole bunch of gunner hogs and hasn't made the transition to Grenadier yet. That is why Livin lost a few. So I'm trying to get my Brute on offense. I need to get something going for me, and the Brute is back over at my base and starting to port in some Banshees. But we're going to be able to take care of that Chieftain and that one Banshee right there, and I'm going to try getting into my double summits. And right here, there's no way I can really get to that Covenant base and do effective damage, in my opinion. What I really want to do is I want to focus on this forge, maybe try and drop a few pads. We're going to try and push all in right now on this forge and try and get this base. And that's when Tensa really has a lot of Banshees, so I have to kind of defend my base while trying to do some damage on this forge. And I did have those like dead Brute squads, but they didn't really help because one Banshee could easily have just taken that out, which it did take out one. I got the other one through the teleportal, just so I can get a little bit of a line of sight. And so here I'm just going to continue to pump Brutes this game because I need units. It's better to be pumping Brutes and Banshees, just single and single, rather than stockpiling useless money and doing nothing. As long as I'm building Brute still, I'm still getting some efficient base damage on this forge and forcing the forge to at least, recognize that my Chieftain is going to be stopping something at his base. And so the Banshees are taking off. This is my opportunity to port through. This is when I'm going to be getting my Banshees and Brutes, focusing on the vehicle depot. Now I think right here is probably a big turning point in the game. What happens here is Sea Mitch has Grenadier, but he transitions into trying to go tanks with his Grenadier, whereas LIMITZOFFSTATE is going full Gauss. So what you're going to notice here is that this is when LIMITZOFFSTATE is still even on the hog numbers with Sea Mitch. They're even tech, but LIMITZOFFSTATE is about to get Gauss here, and Sea Mitch is going to be nowhere near Gauss. So once again, since Sea Mitch does not have Gauss, he only has Grenadier, Banshees, Brutes, and a Vortex is actually going to be sufficient enough to play defense, and it's going to force this D-bomb here. And so I'm going to send my Brutes out of there. I'm going to get my Banshees out of there, just kind of hightailing it. I just want to stay clear of that D-bomb. And as you can see right there, LIMITZOFFSTATE does have Gauss, and that's really beautiful right now because we do have a little bit less hogs in numbers, I still believe, but the tech of Gauss in comparison to Grenadier just can't fight Gauss, just like Gunner cannot fight Grenadier. What is not looking good is what was basically at my base right there. Tensa does have a commanding air lead. My economy's been pretty much shot. I've been pumping Brutes and single pumping Banshees. But one thing that he does need to do is he needs to hit LIMITZOFFSTATE's base rather than my base, because I'm basically useless at this point. Like I'm doing a little bit of damage, and I'm not the main threat. The main threat right now is LIMITZOFFSTATE's double pump of Gauss. So what they need to do is they really need to target down LIMITZOFFSTATE's bases and prevent him from pumping. And so we noticed that he's getting way too many Banshee numbers up. I clicked Livin for a freeze over there earlier, and there it is. And right here we are going to be taking out his summits and pretty much taking Tensa's Banshees out of the game to the point where he's only going to be able to use what he has on the field. And since we did take out Sea Mitch's expansion, we do have a commanding UNSC lead. And I'm just curious if anybody actually wants to try and count. I would be really surprised if anybody could guess or count how many brutes do you guys think I built this game. I actually do have the link to this game. I'll not post it in the description below yet. I just want to see if anybody knows how many brutes I built this game, out of curiosity. So anyways, LIMITZOFFSTATE's going to be losing his main base, but Tensa's going to be losing his base as well. To my surprise right here, Sea Mitch actually stops going tanks because we shut him down so hard that he is going to go into a very late Gauss off of this single base here, and it's just too late for Sea Mitch to really do anything with his Gauss. He doesn't have numbers or anything at this point. So Tensa's going to move on to LIMITZOFFSTATE's secondary and work on taking that out, while LIMITZOFFSTATE and I focus on taking out Sea Mitch's main base. And right here I'm going to be pretty much all over the map. I'm going to have to send my Banshees over to stop Tensa from grabbing another base, and I'm also going to have to send my Banshees around the map to stop Sea Mitch from grabbing other bases and expanding his Gauss numbers. And what we really need to focus on here is watching LIMITZOFFSTATE's secondary, because he is going to be losing that, and we have to focus on him getting another base. And what it's really going to boil down to at this point is keeping LIMITZOFFSTATE in the game, because he is the army, and keeping them out of the game. I'm fine because I'm untouched. I'm the only person right now in the game that really doesn't have to worry about money or finding a base anytime soon. And this is actually giving me a lot of time to get my Banshee numbers up and not have to worry about losing them to anything, since there's only like 4 or 5 Gauss Hogs of Sea Mitch running around the map. So we end up taking out Sea Mitch's base here, and Tensa and Sea Mitch are now going to start hitting my base. I'm in pretty good shape though still. As you can see, I'm going to be stopping Tensa from building, and that's really going to force Tensa and Sea Mitch to actually try and kill off my Banshees, because they really need to plant a base somewhere. And not only is this making them focus on getting Tensa this base and focusing on killing my Banshees, it lets LIMITZOFFSTATE completely push his entire army up to kill everything over here, and we don't even have to worry about protecting LIMITZOFFSTATE's expansion at all, or his new built base. And so pretty much right here, I'm going to finally be able to buy this base, stop Tensa from being able to grab it. I'm boosting my Banshees over to the other side to kill Tensa's other base, and he's just going to resign, and that's pretty much the game.